Now we'll move back to the world of TV and we'll go for our worst series of 2025. There's some strong contenders for this category. These guys are dying to win this one. So, Tommy, who have you got?
So, before we go into our top picks, I just want to vent for a second. In preparation for this, I was looking at all the shows that came out. And my point is, there's too many goddamn shows. I haven't seen The Bear, I haven't seen White Lotus, that's another widely praised show. I haven't seen Welcome to Derry, which apparently is really good.
Oh,
I haven't seen...
I forgot about that one, but no, it's definitely not.
Okay. Okay, there you go. I haven't seen The Chair Company, which I'm really looking forward to. My point is, I cannot keep up, and no one can. No human being on the planet is able to watch all this stuff. And it's hurting society. This is a serious problem, Tyler. Especially when so many of these shows are apparently so good and you feel like you're missing out. I honestly cannot have a conversation about shows or movies with friends anymore. It's all this like, oh, have you seen this? No, what's that? But I have seen this other thing. And have you heard of it? No, I don't know that, but I've seen this show and it's amazing. Do you know about it? And no, I haven't seen it, and it's exhausting. It's just
It's so rare that something like punches through the zeitgeist, especially when movies way more so, but TV shows that like punches through the zeitgeist and is something that everybody's watching, everybody's talking about. Like that just doesn't. That's very rare these days. And yeah, like you, man, I was had to sort of remind myself of what came out this year, and probably the best series or the worst series I haven't even watched, because there's so much stuff. And like you said, you hear people praising like White Lotus, and every year there's like a new show that everyone's saying is amazing, and I'm like, is it that good? Or are you just gonna forget about it in a year's time? Like,
should I waste my time watching this because everyone is talking about it? Or,
exactly.
Or watch it and then it's cancelled.
It's like, no, I'll just go back and rewatch the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones because I know that's going to be good. But yeah, no, it's a tough one. And like you said, it's a lot of time to invest. And I'm way more apprehensive about jumping on board with series than a movie that I've been recommended to, for sure. And yeah, I haven't watched loads of shows, which is why I've got 2 like non-narrative shows in my favorite category. But
right.
Yeah, my worst category, I've got some ones which I think are fitting.
Yeah. Worst series that I have seen.
You watch a lot of shit.
I have watched a lot of shit. I watched all the Marvel shows.
That alone gives you like 10 things to choose from.
But like, I don't know, like those are so forgettable that are not even like...
Didn't you watch Ironheart last year?
I watched Ironheart
Yeah.
and I thought it was inoffensive, just very bland and boring and forgettable.
Yeah.
But it's not offensive. While The Last of Us Part 2 was offensive to me.
Yeah, this is one we share. I've got this in my group as well. And God, it so deserves to be there too. And it's like one that pretty much unanimously is agreed upon by the audience too.
Right, it won Best TV Adaptation.
Yeah, that's just because they fucking love Neil Druckmann there. And I swear they're trolling when they do that shit.
Yeah, and also, like, it's not a very serious show anyway. Like, the way they vote, it doesn't really mean that the quality is perceived to be that high. It's just, oh, I've seen this one. I guess I like the people in it, so...
Yeah, 100%. Like, the season 1 best video game adaptation winner for sure. Like, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just talking about how faithful it is to the game, then yeah, it's a good adaptation, I guess. But when the game was shit, you're going to get the same results. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again, and that's exactly what they did.
Honestly, man, when the season 2 came out, and we actually covered the entire season on this show, so you can go back and listen to us ramble for hours about how bad this show is. But like shortly after that, they released a new mode for the game, for The Last of Us Part 2 game.
Right.
You could play the game in chronological order.
I thought you can just play the game as Joel. He just survives, and you just get to play the game as Joel. I was like, wow, that's a good function, actually. The whole story changes.
No, actually, unfortunately, no, it doesn't. But like, I was curious about this mode because the story is so clearly made to jump back and forth between flashbacks and flash forwards.
Yeah.
And you have 2 different storylines, and then you go back and you experience the same storyline from a different character's perspective.
Yeah. They want to shock you with switching of the context of situations and things. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, how are they gonna make the chronological version work? And so I played it, and that gave me a kind of like excuse to relive the story of part 2, which it wasn't as fresh in my mind. And like the first few hours are very boring, even though they're like, they're well made, but they're very boring because they're just flashbacks, and there's not much action, of course, because those were supposed to be like the moments of downtime in the gameplay sprinkled throughout the story.
Yeah.
And you experience them all at the top, and then the second half of the game is just action, and it's insane. And actually, I mean, the story is not great, and there's many things wrong with it. But as I also said during our reviews, it's way better in the game than in the show, because in the show they make some decisions that make the context of certain scenes, a certain decision, even worse than it was in the game itself.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like the game has problems, but they clearly had a story in mind, and they tried to tell that story. And if you engage with it honestly, like it does work to create like some great moments of tension and some great action set pieces, which is what a game should do anyway. But here they stripped everything that worked, and just they were left with nothing. They were left with, and also like the casting was bad, so some of the show is also ruined by the comparison in how believable some moments are in the story because of who they chose for certain roles. And I'm not talking specifically about Ellie, even though Ellie worked in season 1 and doesn't really work in season 2, in my opinion, and in opinion of many.
The lack of a muscle mummy Abby as well.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't need to be a bodybuilder, but it would have made sense. Well, I mean, she doesn't really have that much of a presence in season 2 anyway, so like she's not important to the conversation on the quality necessarily, but like this was awful to me.
Yeah,
and,
God, sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying that the best thing about it was talking about it with you week to week.
Yeah, it was very cathartic to just like get that off your chest, because there was stuff happening we couldn't believe just how cringe it was, how bad some things and the choices were. And I referenced how like 28 years later gave us one of the stupidest scenes in TV or film of last year, but it couldn't possibly beat I'm gonna be a dad and then I'm gonna finger you after the zombie attack. Like, oh, that was probably the worst scene I've seen in anything in 2025. It was so bad, so funny of how bad it was, but it was supposed to be genuine. It seemed like in a similar way they just like stopped caring about like the stakes and the danger of the world and the switching of tones, and it just was such a mess in the end. And there's such a I don't know whether it's gonna get a season 3.
I mean, they're doing season 3.
Oh, they okay.
Yeah, and they were talking about splitting the second game into 3 seasons, so there's gonna be another season after that.
Jesus Christ!
But I don't see how they can get the interest going for a season 4. Season 3 is not gonna have Pedro Pascal, which was a huge draw, of course. I don't know, like this season just doesn't work in any way. The story doesn't build up to anything of substance. It's all set up. The season climaxes in episode 2 and then meanders for 6 more episodes with weak character writing, convenient plot point after convenient plot point. It does deliver some inspired action sequences here and there, but even then, so many moments are deflated when you realize nothing has any consequences until the very end.
Yeah, I was just that big battle where they're attacking the town, and we the bloater fighting Joel's brother.
Yeah, we never come back to the fucking town.
I know. And I think maybe you might see it again. Everything's just fine, even though they got like obliterated by like 1,000 fucking zombies. But like you said, there are some well-crafted moments, and just like all the other like really big budget shows, it kind of looks the part, seems the part, but as soon as you peel off that like veneer, it's just it's disgusting underneath.
Just like a zombie.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's not my winner.
No, not for me either.
But it is up there. I had another one which you probably haven't seen, and to be honest, I don't know why I watched it. My ex made me watch this.
All right.
Fair. But it was and I mean, on the surface it kind of seems like it would be an interesting show. It was called Wayward, and it was on Netflix. Have you heard of this?
No, let me check it out. Oh, they have Toni Collette?
I know. So you see Toni Collette, you read the premise that she's this cult leader in this small town, kind of a bit Twin Peaksy, this small town with all these dark secrets, and something dark is beneath the surface of this this like veneer of this really like nice suburban town. And my God, it was the biggest piece of shit I've ever watched. It was so bad. I mean, it was created by Canadian comedian Mae Martin, not a
Okay.
professional actress, but she has been in some things, and she is the lead. It was her idea. I think she developed the story as well, and obviously she casts herself as the hardened cop who's moving from the city, and she's coming out to have a quiet life with her wife in this small town, and she is like this
Bad actor.
She's a terrible actor, but not just that. She's like this really skinny, small, frail-looking, woman. And
women.
and in the show, I think she's trans.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether that's the case in real life. And so she's playing a man in the show, and everybody who meets her or him references him as a man without fail, even though on appearance everybody would assume that she's a female.
Yeah.
This is just a bit bizarre, and on the direction of the show is fucking crazy, man. Like, it's got such a weird morality, and it all becomes about there's this school that Toni Collette runs, and these bad kids go there, and they're all getting brainwashed. There's this like weird frog fucking hallucination plot thing going on, but it's one of those shows where you think it's a limited series and it's gonna have a
satisfying ending.
Beginning, middle, and end, and it leaves loads of shit open ended at the very end, and it, I don't know, probably will never get a season 2. But goddamn, what a waste of like Toni Collette, and she's good in it, obviously, because she's great in everything. But I implore you to watch a bit of the first episode, and you will see what I mean of how bad this is.
Yeah, and like going back to what you were saying about this trans character and how people address them, I always feel cheated when this happens in like recent, especially Netflix shows. Like, I feel like it doesn't do justice to, if you want to portray a trans character, please be my guest, but do it in a realistic way. They need to kind of like address this subject matter. They want to create this idyllic world where everyone is accepting and fine, but it would be more honest and like even more interesting story-wise if there was some friction.
100%. You'd have some like real life conflict like there. And what's really weird is they want to have their cake and eat it too, because they when she goes to this small town, they want everybody to be a bit standoffish with them, and they're the outsiders and they're a bit weird, but they don't ever reference that she's trans or whatever. And it's just like, you've missed her. Like, if you had made this 10 years ago, that would be like part of the key conflict of the character, and you can have them overcome that, and you can,
of course, and it would be interesting.
For sure.
You could reach some sort of conclusion that maybe even teaches something to people watching about, like accepting other people and, being mindful of other people.
100%. And they kind of wanted to display that message, but they didn't want to venture into the category of being seemingly transphobic to have characters say things like that. And
they can't have people be mean, because then it would make them mean for making these characters say those things. And this reminded me of something that happens in Stranger Things season 5. I want to quickly mention, because this annoyed me in a very similar way to what you described, because there's this scene at one point towards the end of the show where Will,
I have seen the scene.
Okay, there you go. he has to come out to all of his friends and family because Vecna knows his secret, and he's not gonna be as strong or as useful if he doesn't let go of the secret and embrace who he is as a person. He's a gay man. And so before they go on this very like time sensitive final mission to save the world, Will has to sit everyone down. And with everyone, I mean 1,000 different characters. It's not just like his close friends and family. There's so many people there who don't even know him that well. And he has to sit him down and be like, hey guys, I need to say something very important now. I don't like girls. And everyone is like, oh yeah, great. And I don't mind that they decided to do this. Like, you can have coming out scene, and it could be very sweet. It's very sweet, the interaction that he has with Jonathan, which is his brother. I have no problem with this, but like, I have a problem with like the placement of this in the story. And also, we are in the 80s in like some very small countryside town in America. You are coming out as gay to 20 people. Not one of them is like, I'm not saying offensive actively, like against it, but like whatever, there's something else that we need to deal with right now. I don't care about your sexuality, dude. Like I just
That
find
would have
it.
been a real plot twist if like Dustin just turns around and then just is incredibly homophobic to Will. You're like, what the fuck?
But like I didn't want that. But like not one person, like even just Murray, which is like this very funny,
He's the
sarcastic,
teacher guy, isn't he?
sardonic character. Yeah, he's not a teacher, but like yeah, he's like this adult. It will be like, okay, guys, this is very touching, but we have a demon to kill. We need to leave. Like not even something like that is so disingenuous and so unrealistic
Yeah.
that will happen the way it does.
Because in a similar way, they probably think this scene is so important that we cannot mirror it with anything else. It has to be that in itself, and this is what we're doing with the scene. When, like you said, it's like your sexuality and who you want to sleep with or whatever is not really that important when like the world's about to end and you're fighting demons.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that is just inconsequential at the end of the day until you've wrapped up that kind of plot. Yeah. God, I mean, I would like you to check out a bit of this Wayward.
I will, just for you, and I will let you know.
We were like laughing at it like a lot of the way through, and kind of in a similar like way to the scene that I referenced in Last of Us, like a really just out of place like sex scene, like the main characters like just suddenly start fingering her ass in this like
nice
after a big argument or something, and it's like oh god, it's just weird, man. It's such a weird show.
All right, I'll check it out if you insist, just to see how bad it gets. Something that I do not want you to check out in any way or under any circumstance is my pick for worst TV show that I've seen in 2025. And I want to fill my Italian quota for these awards by giving the worst TV show I've seen award to an Italian.
This is the one time you've mentioned anything Italian movie or series wise on the show, and you're about to destroy it. Go on, do it.
It's called The Monster of Florence, and it's kind of like a true crime limited series. And I was kind of excited about this because The Monster of Florence in Italian is just called Il Mostro. So the monster is a very famous case in Italy of this serial killer in the 80s and 90s. It was everywhere in the media. This guy, well, we assume is a guy. We still don't know for sure who the monster was. But like he would go around the Tuscan countryside and kill couples having sex in the woods, mutilate the women. A very interesting story with like many different threads and many people that were accused at different times of being the monster. And then later they would find some proof that would disprove that theory. And now some stuff has come out that links the killings of the Monster of Florence to the Zodiac Killer in America. So like it's an insane story.
Huh? That's in that's the real. That's real, or that's what they say in the show?
No, it's real. This is what I'm telling you is what they...
Well, no, but I know that's... But as in the link to the Zodiac, is that part of reality or is that part of the show?
It's part of reality and not something that they mention in the show because...
There is no way that's possible, right? Surely not.
I'm telling you, if you want to look into the story of the Monster of Florence, is like this endless... It's insane. And I... Personally, I don't like true crime as a genre. I very rarely watch true crime stuff.
Is this a dramatization or is this a documentary?
This is it's a true crime dramatization of a specific aspect of the investigation surrounding the Monster of Florence. And I guess they want to do sequels and spin-offs, which I hope they don't do, exploring all the other threads that they didn't explore in this specific mini-series because it's like 5 episodes long. So I was kind of interested in watching this. My girlfriend wanted to watch it, so I was like, okay, let's put it on. And the director is Stefano Sollima, which is actually an Italian director that I really respect, him, who made some pretty great movies. So I was like, okay, this could be good. And how wrong I was, man. This is just, oh my God. It was so boring. And I don't know how you can make stuff like this boring, but they managed. And like all the actors are terrible. The pacing is so sluggish. They want to give the show this sense of self-importance. Like they're saying this very profound stuff. And they have this very truncated narrative style where they go back and forth. You see a scene and then later on you watch that scene from a different character's perspective, but it doesn't really change what that scene scene was about and what it was saying. So it's very repetitive, and every dialogue is delivered with this monotone and like big long pauses. Maybe characters are like, oh, where were you last night? I was at the bar. Like,
That's dramatic, though. Yeah, honestly, I was at the edge of my fucking seat just then.
Where was this guy? It's so bad. It's embarrassing. I was dying laughing at the end. I'm just gonna spoil it because you don't care and no one cares and no one should care because this is bad. But basically,
They never found the killer, right, in real life, so
yeah, they haven't like we have a few suspects, one specifically that is like considered to be the most likely person to be the monster of Florence, but there are so many different theories and like maybe it was different people in different moments, even though there's this.
Is it Silvio Berlusconi by any chance?
I wish that would be a great twist. But no, there's this one guy that like it's agreed upon that probably was him, but we can't be sure. And he's dead. We can't know for sure. Basically, at the end of the show, they have this Avengers style teaser. This letter comes into the mail of like the detective. Of course, you know, they have a woman detective that never existed investigating the case and being like the head of the investigations for the Monster of Florence because it's a Netflix show. So you can't be accurate of what the characters were. But basically, this letter comes and she starts reading it and it ends like with the name of this person that everyone knows. Well, everyone who knows about the Monster of Florence knows that that's the name of who people think is the Monster of Florence. And it feels like, oh, next season we're gonna do him. Like and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so offensive to the victims. It's so poorly made. It's not even entertaining. It's just true crime slop for people who love to know that there are sickos out there who like to kill.
Yeah. Hey, people love true crime slop, to be fair. So.
Yeah, and you know, like this was an opportunity because there are a few Italian shows every once in a while kind of like make it through and they break the barrier and people watch them, you know, like, but I would love for something, you know, like Netflix is a great opportunity, you know, because everyone has Netflix, and if a show is good, you don't care about the language, you know, Squid Game, for example, you know, it was a good show.
Yeah, we've seen it with Dark, the German show.
Yeah.
You know, if something is that good, it'll break that barrier.
This could have been a great Italian show that people would have watched and be like, oh my God, you know, like I'm gonna watch more Italian stuff now. And no, because if
now people will never watch another Italian thing ever again.
So yeah, I am very disappointed. I'm very angry, and this was the worst TV show I've seen in 2025.
The description of that show reminded me of something else, and I didn't quite put it within like my nominations for this category because I didn't finish this show because it was fucking terrible, and it was a Monster, an Ed Gein story on Netflix. Did you watch any of this?
I refuse to watch it. I just know that a friend of mine who's actually really into true crime and watches everything true crime, he literally was like, don't bother, this sucks. So I'm like, okay.
So it's made by Ryan Murphy, who makes all that stuff. He started, God, what's that show where each season is kind of a different like horror premise? American Horror Story.
Okay.
He kind of rose to fame on American Horror Story, and that was something that started out quite decent and just dropped off a cliff like quite quickly. He's made a name for himself by like dramatizing serial killers. You know, he did the Menendez brothers, he did the Jeffrey Dahmer one with Evan Peters in it, and I think I did watch that one whole way through, and it wasn't terrible, that one, but I find them like a bit sick. Like you said about the Italian series, they're very like disrespectful to the victims. They kind of like try and sexy up these serial killers, and they kind of paint them in this nice light, and they're like, it's like glorifying it in a really weird way. And from what I saw of the first 3 episodes of Monster, and I've never seen it more prevalent than in this. It's fucking disgusting, like the kind of morality of the show. And not only that, it's boring. They completely make stuff up because they don't know that much about Ed Gein, you know, and it was such a long time ago.
Yeah.
They do this really weird thing where they're like in, you know, one of the episodes, they flash forwards and you're then on a dinner conversation with Alfred Hitchcock, and he's talking about like how he's making Psycho based onEd Gein.
Oh, no.
And like a whole portion of the episode will be like him screening Psycho, and then it cuts back to Ed Gein, and it's literally completely irrelevant. He keeps having these like fantasies about the Holocaust and like World War II Nazis, and again, it's all bullshit. It's not part of the true story of what happened, and it adds to absolutely nothing. And you've got Charlie Hunnam doing like a Mickey Mouse impression.
Oh no!
And he's an attractive man, and like Ed Gein was not an attractive man, and they're trying to get people to like fancy Ed Gein, I feel like, and he's the first scene he's like in his grandma's pants like wanking in the corner, and he does that like 3 or 4 times in the show, and it's like, why would I want to keep watching him like masturbating in his mum's underwear? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. And like my dad continued watching the show. I don't know whether he finished it, and I think towards the end apparently he goes to heaven, and it's like real, like it's not with it. I don't think I'm not sure whether it's a fantasy in his mind, but he goes to heaven and he's like absolved of his sins, and you're like, this is a necrophiliac grave robber. It's like, why would you go that direction with this? Oh, it's just bizarre, man. And I think that guy makes a lot of really weird shows, and like not in a good way at all.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't get the fascination with these type of shows. They very rarely are. Maybe because I don't really like when, like, especially a TV show, because they can be very meandering and over long. But like when they are based on true stories, they rarely hook me. But like especially when you're talking about a serial killer and you're trying to make them into this cool, like iconic character, it just disgusts me. I don't know. Like I much rather have like a made up story about a serial killer that can go crazy, right?
Yeah. And this is what it is. This is basically a completely made up story. And with the hook of, hey, look, it's a serial killer, It's like, and then they'll probably do a mashup like an Avengers style. Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein and fucking Charlie Manson are all going to team up and they're going to kill people. And it's
like in
sick.
South Park?
Yeah, do they do that? Oh, of course they do, yeah. They're like part of they're like doing the party for Satan or something, aren't they?
Oh my god, that's such a good episode. Yeah.
That is a great, and they're like the Three Stooges, the serial killers. It's fucking bizarre, man, and I really don't understand the appeal. And yeah, like kind of aping off what you said, I really don't like it when shows portray themselves to be real and they like take such liberties with the truth, because I think it is just like you are like rewriting history to a degree, because people watch these shows, don't bother doing the research, and they're like, do you know this person did this? You're like, no, you saw that on Netflix, that didn't happen.
Yeah. But that wasn't your worst.
No, you just literally reminded me of it as you were talking, and I feel like I needed to get that off my chest.
Yeah.
So
that's good. This is kind of like a therapy session right now.
It really is. It really is. I won't go on too much because we've spoken about it a lot already. My worst series of the year is Alien Earth.
All right.
And it gets that because, and I've said this a lot about things we've reviewed, whether it's like Predator or Alien, or it's like a franchise that we love, or is beloved and has these great films and has it has so much potential.
Yeah.
And you would die to make a new Alien movie if someone said, hey, here you go, here's 250 million, you're gonna get to do the new Alien film. That would literally be the best thing that could ever happen. And I would take that responsibility on with everything that I had in me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these people just don't. And we saw it from the interviews of Noah Hawley. He was like, oh, we've been commissioned for season 2, but I don't know what we're going to do. And it's like, how can you end on a cliffhanger but not know where it then goes? Do you know what I mean?
Even though you don't have like a clear idea, at least like an outline of this is where I want to end up and this is the character trajectory, and then maybe something better comes to mind while we're making it, because it's an organic process. But yeah, not knowing at all is just very worrying.
Definitely don't say it in an interview, for fuck's sake. What is these people, honestly? It's and I think I grade things on a different scale depending on my anticipation for something or my history with that. So that like is why like I was so harsh, and it deserves it because it is really bad, and like I hated like so much of the creative choices in it, and like it did quite well. It did well enough for people to think this is the direction for Alien now.
Yeah.
And I think that is just really sad, unfortunately.
Yeah, annoying stuff. But we'll see. Maybe it picks up on season 2. Are you gonna watch it if it comes out in like?
We have to.
Yeah,
we have to. And like I said, like I will always watch the next Alien thing, no matter what. And yeah, I will tune into season 2 just to see this fucking train wreck in before my eyes. So.